So today we are going to design a box. I'm just going to show you how to make a simple square box and then embellish from there. So we need two squares. One of them, we're going to imagine we're doing an 8x8 card. So if you want a little bit of room in there, because if you're like me and go over the card a little bit and you want a bit of extra room, you could do 9 inches or you could do 8.5. I'm going to do 9. And then this square is to go around the outside where we want, and if we're having it 1 inch deep. So to add 1 inch each side, that's 9, 10, 11. And now we're just going to center them both and move them where we can see them. So this middle one is just literally to show us where it should be. Next step is to get a small triangle. And what we're going to do is cut the parts out that we normally would with scissors. Just need to make sure I've got it the right way round. You need the point on it on 90 degrees. And you need the point there. So you imagine like if you're making a box by hand, you would cut a little bit out for gluing. So that's what we're going to do. But we are going to do all 4 corners at once. So this one goes on 0. Let's just change it ourselves. Okay. Because you don't need to cut half. You just need a little slice out of it. That's all. That's all it is. Okay. This one we need to change to there. And then this one. Okay, so then what we're going to do is hold the Shift key down, choose the large box, and then all of the triangles. I've already got that one. And click Subtract. And when you click off it, you can see now we've got piece off every single little one. We used the smaller box to determine where the corners are going to be. Now we need to do the lines, the path lines. So if we start with this one, you click there, hold the Shift, come straight down, and you're going down to the end. Why is that not straight? Hold the Shift again, and then we're going to change it to a dashed line, and then we are going to duplicate, 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 because we need 4. So this okay, if like me you have trouble picking up the dashed lines afterwards, if you go to the layers and just pick one of them, and then you can move it with the arrow keys. Now remember, you don't need it where the cut is, here, but you do need it here, because that's where the fold will be. Choose the next one. Now first of all we want to spin that round. Sorry, this takes a while. It's very hard to pick it up though. So that's your creases in. So what we can do now, if you go back to layers, we don't want the big shape, we want that shape. We can delete it because we don't need it. And then what we do is group it all. Layer, group. And now you have basic box shape, and you can make it any size you like. You've got the scores in there, and it doesn't matter how big or small you do it. The cuts are in there and the folds are in there. That's for a 1 inch depth. So if you're doing the lid, so that's one way of doing it, in like one easy way. But if you want to do a box that's deeper, say, like 2 or 3 inches, and you've got an 8-inch card, so we're still going 9 inches, you can't fit any extra on the edges. So the easiest thing then is to make an extra 4 sides. So we've got that, and we are not going to maintain aspect ratio because we are going to do, you say you want 2 inches, I think, by 9 inches. Okay, so that it's 2 inches all the way round, but as you can see, we need to be able to stick each part together and to the box. So then what you do, you want another one that's 1 inch by 9. And then we need our little triangle again. So you can do it a little bit smaller. And then duplicate. Oops. And does it flip? Yeah. There. Then we need to pick the whole lot and subtract. And there you have the shape for that. Let's just duplicate and see if it will work, squashing it right down. Don't think it will somehow. If we flip it, I think it would actually, just need it to be two inches there. Okay, so now you can see we're going to need 4 of them, but first of all what we need to do is weld them together. Now I'm just going to move in a bit closer because you have to make sure that the lines are over, but first of all let's make sure that they are level. Okay, it looks like they're over. Not quite level though. So we do that one going up a little bit. Not that much. Okay, that looks fine. Let's just go along here a little bit. Why is that uneven? Again, you're going over a little bit. not too much. There we go. Display, zoom to matte size, and weld. And then you're just going to put your score points in, just as always. Hold the shift key, double click, do that, press it again, and again. There we go, all done. So we group it, and then you would do 4 of them. 1, 2, 3. So that's 4. And then you've got them all the same size. If you're changing the size, always change them together. Let's just put them one over the other. So you know they all go down the same size. You could also, what size is this one? So this is 820. Say if you wanted an A5 box, you would move that in to 5. Let's do 6. So we've got a bit of extra space. And then you would have to change two of these because the sides are different. But you would know that it's got to be the 6. Let's get this so it's exact. 6 along the bottom. So you change this one. You can't really change it to 6 because you've got the extra bit there. If I remember rightly, we made that 1 inch. Let's change it to 7 and see what happens. It's a little bit too big, so we go down. Oh, there we go. And that still gives you the same. If you want a narrower box down, wider box up, just realise when you're doing the sizes that you've got to add these bits as well. So if you want a 1 inch box, you don't go down to 1 inch. You could measure it, if it's easier, you could measure it on the squares. Each square on the grid is an inch square. So you know that the fold line has to go there, and that would be an inch. You want 3 inches, 2, 3 squares, 1, 2, 3. And you know that's 3 inch depth. But you don't need to make all different ones for different sizes. You just change them to the exact size you want for anything. So that's the other way to do it. That gives you 2 different styles of doing boxes. Let's get this back to a square. Just going to go back to 8 for now. The other thing is if you wanted to do it with an acetate opening so that you could see inside the box lid. So for that you would duplicate, make it smaller. Let's do 2 inches all the way around. Center them, and there you go. It will cut that box out for you, and then you just cover the acetate underneath. If I was you putting acetate on, I would do 2 layers of this so that you can put the acetate in between. Okay, and then the other thing is if you wanted to add a nice little corner or some kind of, I don't know. I mean, there's borders here. Maybe you want to put a nice little border along it. Obviously you wouldn't do it that big, do that. If you wanted to join these on, then you layer, duplicate, make sure that they are on the same level. Then you really would do yourself better getting closer so that you can match it so the shape doesn't change. So I can say now that that needs to come out a little bit. And then you shift, got them both, and weld, and it gives you one long line of them. So then we zoom to map size, and you can do it the same height, or if you layer, duplicate, and come round to, is it 270? When I'm looking at numbers, it's here for angles, and you can join them both. Again, go closer, and you can do that 4 times round, so you've got a nice little pattern all the way round. Always go closer, as you can see, it does help. I think that'll work. So, you've clicked one, shift key, click the other, and weld. There you go. Layer, no, display, zoom to mat. So now you've got like a fancy inner that you could take out if you wanted. Actually, if you match it to that square, I'm just thinking. Let's do, needs to be 8 because that's what the square was, and then we okay, but we go on this. If we duplicate this and then flip it, I think flip it both ways and then join it there. If I'm not wrong, weld it, that becomes one shape, and then you could use that as your box base and you'll have this pretty pattern for the acetate. Because I'm thinking if you cut the whole thing out like that, then you're not going to see this pretty pattern, you're just going to get the cut of the box. Although, I'm sorry, I'm trying things here. I think you could divide it, maybe. No, it's not going to divide. Okay, so what we could do, click again. It'll take a while to come up because there's a lot of nodes here, but don't worry about the nodes in the middle because all I'm going to do, okay, for the first one we are going to create an opening like this. So you need one with a line going across, and then you can open it up. It's saying it is open, but it's not. Okay, let's delete it and see what happens. Okay, if you hold the shift key, then you can do delete in several points at once. some have got double points underneath them, and that's where you can see the black lines. So it's going to leave some spaces. There we go. Hold down the Shift key. Grab them all and minus. Must have missed one. I will do a whole lesson on the nodes because they're actually a really useful tool. Okay, so we click off. So now all we've got is this, and you can make it smaller if you wish. And then you've got a pretty design around it as well. So there's another way of doing it. And, you know, like I said, you can put, these are just the line embossing, but say, for example, you had something like this as a, we got that, and we got that, as an SVG, then, again, you could cut round it. Let's move that out of the way a minute. I think you can change these to cut anyway. You could design it and make it so that it cuts nicely in the middle. Let's just delete that, and we'll delete that. And then this one you could just do in a corner. Let's just it's not playing very nicely. Like that. Do it a bit smaller. So you got that nice cut out in the corner or whatever. So there's a lot of different ways of doing the boxes, but once you've got the basic shape and lines, then you're free to do any shape you want. Okay, so now we're going to go over to the craft table and make a box. So we're over at the craft table. I've done something different with the flowers. This one I've put them all up, and I kind of like that. That one I've done the same, but then I've done another one where it's all coming in, and I think I like that too. So it's just some of the leaves have got caught up, but and then these, they look more like roses. These are the 4 petal ones, and I've done them all coming up. I've stuck the 4 middle ones together, and then I've stuck some of the outer ones together so that they all lift up. Done the same with that. What I should have done was curl the leaves inside. I thought I could do it afterwards, but it's not really worked. But I think I'm happier with them flowers. I had time, like I said. Instead of colouring them all beforehand, all I'm going to do is get a paintbrush. I've got the Distress ink, and I'm just going to brush the leaves. That's all I want to do. Sometimes a brush is easier to use when you're distressing. You don't get the marks of the sponge on it, so it is easier if you're struggling with a sponge or any of that sort of thing. Just want to curl them outside ones a bit. Let's see if I can do them all. I've done this while I was sitting watching Wimbledon, because I love Wimbledon. I don't know if any of you are Wimbledon fans. I'm a big Wimbledon fan. You see, you just... And it just washes out afterwards, so you can put as much or as little as you like. I don't like too much, but... Okay, let's just do a bit with that as well. Lift it up again. Shall get another brush. So it just shows that you can do all sorts of different things with the flowers. You don't have to just do one kind of shape. I'll do that one with the yellow inside. And that one with the yellow outside. It's opposite to the card I done. There's the flowers that I'm going to use this time. I'm not going to go like too overboard with everything. What I also done was cover a 12 by 12 sheet with the napkin again. It's a green sheet so that there's a little bit of green on it. And then I cut out the pieces to cover the box. So here is the box. Now the box... so you do the base, the whole thing at 11, and the lid at 11 and a quarter. And you don't move the lines like I originally said, which I have put on the video. So I got quite sturdy card for this because, you know, it's a box. And there's always this thing people have, tape versus wet glue. Wet glue is always the best thing for making a box, but saying that, red tape is tough and quicker, so it's up to you what you go with. So the best way to do a box is you do this edge with this straight line, just like that. Hold it. You only have to hold it for a couple of minutes with bookbinding glue. Not a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds. And again, that straight line with the edge. Line it up and then hold it for a little while. It's coming undone. I have made this box quite a lot bigger, so if you want to size it down, I'll show you the card in it in a minute so that you can see how much bigger I've done it. And of course you can do it deeper, doing the card different like I said. But both templates will serve you for any kind of box you want to do, any size. Just remember when you're working out the size of the box, you've got to add on the depth twice. So this is a 9-inch box, but I've got an inch depth, 1 each side, so that makes it 11. Right, if I get the card, see it is fairly a bit bigger, but if you're doing your flowers coming out more or anything like that, then it's a good idea. I mean, if you can see these flowers here, there's barely any room. That's why I've done it that extra bit bigger. Also, most people use tissue paper, but I have this lovely sort of velvet, it's paper on the other side. I was wondering if the velvet stuck down might look a bit... I think that would give it some class. I think I'm going to do that. Sorry guys, I like the look of that. I'm not intentionally trying to sell my stuff here, but it is something I sell. So my apologies if you're not happy with me for doing that. But I love this stuff and I use it a lot, and it's brilliant. It die cuts, it cuts on the scan and cut. And it doesn't matter how creased up it gets, when you put it down, all the creases come out. So okay, I'm going to have to do... I should have used a 12 by 12 sheet, shouldn't I? Instead of the A4. Because I do have them. Oh, well. Anyway, I'll finish that afterwards. But you can see, I do like that. Let me just leave that there a minute. Rather than tissue, or as well as tissue, I guess, but rather than tissue, it's, and it feels so soft. I do like that. What do you think? Okay, well I'll finish that off afterwards. You don't need to see all of that. If you want any or are interested in any of it, just let me know, but I'm not going to promote it or anything. I'm not going to deliberately sell it to you because I didn't want to do that. Okay, so the lid, before we stick it together, we will put all the bits on. You can see I went a bit wrong there, so I'm hoping the flowers are going to hide that. Too much glue and it all came unstuck. Speaking of the glue, I read the instructions this time and I done it a little bit wrong when I done it for the card. So what you're meant to do is just place it over and put the glue over both parts. You don't glue the card and then put the paper on and then glue over. So that's a lesson learned for me. So I've done it right this time. Okay. So I've got 4 strips. Bit of extra there. This will also give the lid a bit of extra stability, putting strips on. I think I went wrong on that one. So the strips are done at 3/4 of an inch. When I'm doing mats, I always go down in 1/4 inch increments. So it's 1 inch, so I went down to 1/4 inch. Sorry, 3/4 inch. Okay, then we'll put the box together and put the flowers on. If you are decorating the base of the box on the outside, just remember to add a little bit of extra to the lid, because it'll have to fit over more card. I mean, I don't really decorate the base apart from putting something inside. I don't think you need to necessarily. It's the lid that counts. Okay, so there's your lid. Now we'll check. There we go, perfect fit. Okay, so now we want to put some flowers on. just to decorate it a little bit. If we put that one over there. How are we going to do this? Stick that on there. Actually, if we do that, yeah, I like that, I think. So, I've just realised what I've done. I'll cover that, don't I? Silly me. And then if you've got any leaves, I've only got a couple left because I went a bit leaf mad at the end. So I've only got like literally a few. Just cut them up a little bit. You can just add some leaves in there. And then you've got room to put like a sentiment, or who is it to, or so I would put a bit of white card saying who it's to, and here I would also be cheeky and say, if you're just going to throw the box away, can I have it back? So there we have it, the box to go with your card. There's the card, upside down. I'll finish that velvet paper so that it looks better, and there you go, all done. You can put tissue paper, obviously, that always looks classy as well. And that's it, that's your box done with the flowers on. Flowers are different ways, so I'll let you decide which you want to try and do with your flowers that you cut out. Okay, thank you for watching.